Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Crypto Space. In today's video we are going to cover Kaspa, its recent price action. We are going to cover a couple of interesting metrics for Kaspa, as well as a couple of interesting tweets and news for Kaspa, and of course we are going to cover a couple of interesting Bitcoin and altcoin charts. So I'm pretty sure that you don't want to miss it out. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and a quick disclaimer that this video is not a financial advice. But alright, let's have a look at Kaspa itself. So Kaspa is currently trading at 13 cents, well almost 14, and is currently experiencing a leg up of 4.4%. Market cap is currently sitting at 3.2 billion USD, and 24-hour trading volume is currently sitting at 52.3 million USD. So if we are going to look at the chart on the 24-hourly time frame on CoinGecko, that looks very juicy. We do experience that recovery after that sell-off again on Kaspa, and let's hope that we are going to see next pump for Kaspa in coming weeks. If we broke 18 cents level anytime in the coming weeks, we will go directly to 20 and 35 cents. If not, we have to wait July to break above the ascending triangle at this level. Probably we'll have a god candle to 40 or 50 cents. So yes, that's obviously brewing in the background as well on a weekly chart. However, that's a big target, much bigger target over here for Kaspa, and I do believe we can achieve that in coming weeks, of course given the fact that we are still before the halving event and altcoin season haven't even started. We have some good news. We've got a new listing for Kaspa on exchange that's called SWY-FTX. Maybe it's not something that we are anticipating, but it's still good news because we've got a new listing on new exchange, and that obviously is going to sooner or later drive that liquidity towards Kaspa. I'm not saying that this is definitely going to happen, but have a look what's ahead of us basically. So from now on, let's say if we are going to look at Coinbase listing, we could potentially have 20x. Obviously Coinbase listing could provide that big liquidity over here for Kaspa, and after that of course we are going to have sell-off because obviously people are going to take out their profits. Later on, if we would see Upbit listing, and then we could potentially see 40x, and if we are going to see OKX, then we are already going to be sitting at 80x, and of course if Binance would list Kaspa, that would be 100x. And of course I'm not saying 20, 40, 80 and 100, I mean all together that could potentially be 100x, and Kaspa could see $10 this bull cycle. And I do believe that this is reasonable target given the fact that we have around 4 trillion USD targets for altcoins. So that would put Kaspa at big market cap. I am aware of that. However, depending on how that money is going to flow and towards which projects, that is definitely possible. The Kaspa hash rate was less than 1 petahash per second. Hash rate is used to measure the computational power securing a blockchain. Parabolic growth is continuing as new miners are allocating resources to the network. How high do you think the Kaspa hash rate will go in 2024? I would probably bet 600 to 800, when the fact that just 1 year ago Kaspa's hash rate was just 1 or below 1. That's mind-blowing if we are going to look at what we have achieved over here for Kaspa in just 1 year. And now let's have a look at some numbers over here for Kaspa. So the current reward is currently sitting at 123 Kaspas. The next reward is going to be 117, and the next reduction is going to happen in 7 days. So this is exactly the thumbnail that you guys clicked on, and I'm not saying that you are going to see a huge pump after these 7 days. What I'm letting you know about in the thumbnail is the fact that the next reduction is happening in 7 days, but of course you already get the point, I hope. So hash rate is currently sitting at 194.7 petahash per second, and now let's examine addresses that are holding over 10,000 Kaspa. So last time I have updated you on Kaspa, that was on the 26th of March, so we were sitting at 69 and 80,000 Kaspa holders, and now as of today 29th, we are sitting at 70,880, which gives us a difference of 1,800 new holders that are holding over 10,000 Kaspa. So that is bullish in my opinion, because people are accumulating and that chart grows like crazy. Of course maybe it's not a lot, but these are only 3 days, so this is very bullish in my opinion. People are accumulating. And now let's have a look at addresses that are holding over 100,000 Kaspa. So on the 26th of March we're sitting at 19,020, and at the moment we are sitting at 19,380, which gives us a difference of 360. So that is 360 new holders that are holding over 100,000 Kaspa. So that's very bullish. But right, let's have a look at the chart itself. So that's a daily chart, and as we can see over here, I was very hopeful. However, my theory didn't play out, at least at the moment. We haven't seen that squeeze towards the upside. We have experienced major selling again and FUD around Kaspa. Obviously people are selling, and this is something to be expected because now this is the time where people are experiencing those pumps in meme coins, different projects, etc., and they are, I do believe, weak hands because they see that the project that they have invested does not generate big profits like meme coins or other projects, and they do sell off, so-called weak hands, and this is the shakeout, I believe, before the proper parabola. So we've got dipped below that level of 13 cents of a support over here for Kaspa, and we saw lower levels of 13 cents. However, we had the push back towards the upside, and at the moment we are going to see how that candle is going to close on a daily. Hopefully we are going to get supported by that level of 13 cents. However, as I was mentioning before, we could even dip to levels of 10 cents, which are lower levels of that power band that I was mentioning about in the previous videos. And now if we are going to look at the standpoint of moving averages, we are currently being supported by 100-day moving average, so that's obviously good. And now if we are going to check and examine 4-hourly time frame, we see that we have that bullish momentum over here for Kaspa on the 4-hourly time frame, and we are printing higher highs. However, that candle is already being red, so let's see how that's going to close. Of course, I'm going to give you an update tomorrow. And now if we are going to come back to the daily, and I'm going to zoom it out a little bit and show you two last pumps on the RSI, for instance, right? We can clearly see that once we had that big pump over here for Kaspa, then we have consolidated, and that took a while. That sideways price action took a while. So let's say that I'm roughly going to do it from here. That was around 45 bars. So if we are going to apply the same theory, of course, I'm not saying that is going to happen, but it could. So if we are going to roughly pull around 45 bars, we could technically, based on that little technical and theory, we could expect a major pump over here for Kaspa in May. However, of course, that is just a theory. We could expect that pump much earlier, of course, given the fact that we are before the halving. So I don't really care if we are going to dip, because these are great opportunities. I believe last opportunities to scoop up some more Kaspa. It's definitely to better scoop up the project on a dip that you are believing in and have conviction in before those top tier exchanges listings, I believe, and of course before smart contracts being developed, etc., because I do believe that many people are going to jump into Kaspa when they see those top tier exchange listings and smart contracts being announced. However, that could be too late. Now we have great possibility. But anyways, let's first of all cover BTC, and then we are going to cover a couple of altcoin charts, so bear with me these couple of extra minutes. So shout out to Stock Money Lizards. Is a 200,000 cycle target too conservative given the enormous amount of fiat money that is currently flowing into BTC? Yes, so here's the thing. If we are going to follow the theory of the previous bull cycle, this is exactly what we could expect, around, let's say, 200 to upwards of $300,000 for BTC. However, this cycle is different because obviously the ETF, etc., so we could see much bigger prices for BTC, and of course what's going to come with that, that's going to help Kaspa definitely, because if we are going to experience a super cycle on BTC, then Kaspa is going to benefit as well, because that money flow is going to flow into different projects. And now shout out to El Crypto Prof. Don't forget bullish cross in the ADX and DI indicator, as it only happened in 2016 so far. RSI is above 70, which was only case in 2016 and 2020. So let's have a look what happened in 2016. So once we have experienced that bullish cross, and then we've turned over 70 on RSI and we went into that green zone, we had a proper parabola for alts. So let's have a look what happened in 2020. So in 2020 we had only RSI at 70, and then we had started the altcoin season. However, there was no bullish cross, and this cycle is definitely going to be different because we've experienced that bullish cross and we've got more indicators telling us that this is going to be potentially a stronger altcoin season than 2020. And now, biggest altcoin season since 2017 is loading, but some out there have no patience. I hope that you are not one of them. So again, shout out to El Crypto Prof, and that is true, because let's have a look at 2015, 2018. We had accumulation, which is depth of the bear market, obviously. Now we had this huge pump up and then reaccumulation. So what I do believe is happening over here, of course that is the previous cycle, but it applies to each single cycle. People are accumulating, then they are seeing profits, and then they see the rejection and a little bit of a pullback, and then they are selling off because they are obviously scared. However, we are going to experience that breakout just like we did in this cycle. This is where we are at. We are at the end of that reaccumulation, which stands for last times to buy the dip, because later on we can clearly see what is going to happen. I think that this chart is very self-explanatory and easy to understand. And now this chart is altcoins excluding BTC, so bear in mind that ETH is included over here, so the targets are going to be a little bit bigger. However, if we are going to follow the theory of 173 to 184 bars after the halving, we can clearly see what potential targets we could have on alts. That would be around 20 trillion USD, and that's obviously possible because ETH is included over here. So again, this is where we are at. This was our Wyckoff accumulation, that is reaccumulation, and this is where most likely we are going to go after the halving event. So this is the great time to buy, in my opinion. Not a financial advice, of course, and in general this is a great time to be in crypto. And now if we are going to do only 3x on alts from where we are at now, that's excluding ethereum, we could see around 4 trillion USD. So again, I do believe that Kaspa seeing $5, $10, it's possible on the technicals, of course, and given the fact that bigger portion of that money is going to flow into Kaspa, that's possible. However, that also depends on how driven the community of Kaspa is and the overall belief in the project. However, I do believe if the smart contracts are going to be announced, if we are going to see those top tier exchanges, that is definitely in the cards. And now if we are going to look at the standpoint of where we are comparing to the previous cycle, we can clearly see that this is where we are at the moment, right? So we haven't even reached that major level of resistance that leads us back to the previous cycle, not mentioning about all-time highs over here for alts. So we definitely have a lot of time to sell our profits for Kaspa. And if we are going to look at where we are from the standpoint of accumulation phase, let's have a look at the previous cycle, previous I mean. So once we broke above, then we had obviously a pullback and then the parabola. So as we can see over here, this is a monthly chart. We can clearly see that we are only 3 months after that accumulation phase. We still have some time and room to go for our Kaspa and other backs. Ladies and gents, I hope that you have enjoyed that quick Kaspa update and alts and BTC in general, and I hope that you are going to have a great day. Peace and love, crypto.